After years of hard work, I finally bought my dream ranch in rural Texas. It was peaceful, spacious, and came with 2 loyal guard alpacas. My property sat beside an upscale HOA community filled with luxury homes. I had no idea my alpacas would soon become the HOA's biggest nightmare. One quiet morning, several black SUVs stopped outside my ranch gate. A group of HOA board members stepped out, carrying official-looking documents. Their faces showed confidence as they approached my property. They clearly believed they were about to win this fight. The HOA president immediately pointed at my alpacas and demanded their removal. She claimed they violated HOA regulations and lowered neighborhood standards. I calmly listened without interrupting her speech. My alpacas simply stood beside me watching the entire scene. The board threatened thousands of dollars in fines if I refused to comply. They insisted I remove the animals within 72 hours. Several neighbors had even come to witness the confrontation. The HOA believed intimidation would force me to surrender. I politely asked whether they had reviewed my property's legal status. The entire board laughed and claimed no ranch owner was above HOA authority. They were completely unaware of the truth. Their biggest mistake was assuming my land belonged to their HOA. I handed them copies of my property's federal agricultural documents. Their expressions immediately began to change as they read the paperwork. The atmosphere shifted from confidence to confusion. Suddenly, no one had anything clever to say. My ranch had been enrolled in a federally recognized agricultural conservation program. The alpacas were legally maintained as livestock guardians on protected farmland. HOA regulations simply did not apply to my property. The board members had overlooked a very important detail. The HOA president called her attorney while standing beside her SUV. She expected legal support for her demands. Instead, she received information that completely changed the situation. Her face turned pale within seconds. Their attorney confirmed that my property was entirely outside HOA jurisdiction. Attempting to remove federally protected livestock could create serious legal problems. The board members suddenly became very quiet. Their plan was falling apart right in front of them. My 2 alpacas calmly watched as the HOA's confidence disappeared. Neighbors quietly laughed at the unexpected outcome. What began as an eviction demand had become an embarrassing legal lesson. The HOA was about to leave empty-handed. The HOA quietly gathered beside their vehicles to discuss their next move. Their threats had failed, and the federal documents changed everything. Neighbors began questioning why the board had targeted my ranch. The situation was quickly turning against them. Later that afternoon, I walked through my ranch with my alpacas by my side. The peaceful atmosphere reminded me why I bought this property. My animals had done absolutely nothing wrong. They simply belonged where they were. Several nearby residents visited my ranch to hear my side of the story. Most were surprised to learn that my property wasn't governed by the HOA. They couldn't believe the board acted without verifying the facts. Public opinion began shifting rapidly. One neighbor admitted that the HOA had a history of overstepping its authority. Many homeowners had grown tired of unreasonable rules and intimidation tactics. My ranch dispute was exposing problems within the entire community. The board's reputation was beginning to crumble. The HOA president requested an emergency board meeting that evening. Their legal advisor strongly recommended ending all actions against my ranch. Continuing the dispute could create significant legal consequences. Panic was slowly replacing arrogance. While they argued inside their meeting room, I installed a new welcome sign at my gate. It proudly displayed that my ranch operated under federal agricultural protections. Visitors immediately understood the property's legal status. The message was impossible to ignore. My alpacas quickly became local favorites among neighboring families. Children enjoyed seeing them during weekend walks near the ranch. What the HOA considered a problem had become a beloved attraction. Ironically, the community loved the very animals they tried to remove. Local agricultural officials visited my ranch to verify its protected status. They confirmed that everything on my property fully complied with federal regulations. The HOA's complaints had no legal foundation whatsoever. My position had never been stronger. Word of the incident spread throughout the surrounding neighborhoods. Residents openly questioned the HOA's leadership decisions. Board members were receiving criticism from their own community. Their failed campaign had become public knowledge. The HOA attorney officially advised the board to withdraw every complaint against me. Continuing their actions would only create unnecessary legal expenses. They had no authority over federally protected agricultural land. Their case was effectively over. I received a formal letter acknowledging that my property was exempt from HOA regulations. The board quietly abandoned its demands regarding my alpacas. Their aggressive attitude had completely disappeared. Sometimes paperwork speaks louder than arguments. My ranch remained exactly as it had always been, peaceful and protected. The alpacas continued patrolling the property every morning. They had unknowingly won a legal battle of their own. Life was finally returning to normal. The HOA board faced increasing pressure from homeowners demanding accountability. Several residents called for leadership changes within the association. Trust had been severely damaged. The consequences of their actions continued growing. Local newspapers began covering the unusual ranch dispute. Readers loved the story of two alpacas defeating an overreaching HOA. My ranch became unexpectedly famous throughout the region. Even I found the situation amusing. Visitors occasionally stopped by to admire the beautiful ranch landscape. My alpacas happily became unofficial ambassadors of the property. Their calm personalities won over everyone they met. The HOA's complaint now seemed almost unbelievable. Months later, the HOA had completely stopped interfering with my property. They finally understood where their authority ended. Respect for private property became an important lesson for everyone involved. Peace had finally been restored. I often laughed when remembering our first confrontation at the ranch gate. The board arrived expecting an easy victory. Instead, they discovered that assumptions can be expensive mistakes. Knowledge remains the best defense of property rights. The alpacas continued protecting the ranch every single day. Their presence became an important part of the property's identity. They symbolized resilience, legality, and common sense. No HOA rule could ever change that. Looking back, I realized the dispute taught valuable lessons to everyone involved. Property rights should always be respected and legally understood. Proper research matters before making accusations or demands. Sometimes, the truth is hidden in the paperwork. Today, my ranch remains peaceful, protected, and exactly as I intended it to be. My two guard alpacas are still watching over the land they call home. The HOA learned that not every property falls under their authority. And that's the story of how two alpacas humbled an entire HOA board.